and welcome to episode 25 of Baki Taki, titled God and the Devil. That's quite a dynamic duo, but we have an even more prolific duo with us here today. It's me and my mom.
Hello. Hello.
Listeners, in case you were thinking that you were our number one fan of the podcast, we've got the OG number one fan right here, my mom, a fan of every work I've put out.
It's so true.
So, Mom, oh boy, I guess I'll just go with the generic questions. So, what shows are you watching?
Um, I have been watching a lot of Korean variety shows.
Yeah, because you really got into BTS recently.
Yeah, during COVID isolation, I went down the rabbit hole
Yeah,
with watching BTS, and then it kind of spawned off into
it's wild where things can go. Eh?
it just, spawn is in my head because the salmon were spawning in the river down
Yeah,
the trails.
no, that's fair. You don't have to justify that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fun. I'm enjoying watching it. It's very hard to go back to normal TV
Oh, why
after
would
watching.
you? It's a downgrade.
Real, it's
So back to Baki though. Before I came over today, this is the first ever remote record of Baki Talkie. But before I came down, what did you know about Baki?
I know that you love it and you're very enthusiastic about it, and that makes me love it. Very enthusiastic. There's not,
You know a fair amount. You've listened to 24
yeah.
episodes this.
No,
Well, 23, sorry, Wolf.
I know that Baki sometimes shows up in the episodes. I was very interested in the original five
Death Row
death
inmates.
row inmates, and then when they died, I thought there was Mr. Oliva,
Yeah.
yeah, which seemed kind of anticlimactic after the first. But apparently, this episode is the next step in the different directions.
Yeah. There's basically, I'd say, five characters from this season who are going to play a major part in season two. And maybe I'll have you guess at the end of the episode.
Okay.
But this episode is setting it up. Let's dive into what happens. So this is following off on the pivotal question that Muhammad Ali asked last episode.
Have you heard of a man named Hanma? Yujiro Hanma. Do you know him?
So we heard that question be asked last week, but now we get the answer, and we get to hear a little bit about what Muhammad Ali, his experiences with Yujiro Hanma. So, Mom, first off, what did you think of Muhammad Ali in this episode?
I was happy to see him in his youth after hearing Catherine's description last week.
A lot less drool.
Yeah, and I don't know, is the guy that writes Baki a fan of Muhammad Ali? Like
Well, he seems like it's his idol.
He's a legend whose notoriety transcends the world of sports. More than just a man, he's a living god.
he was pretty accurate in his description of all the things all his accomplishments.
Itagaki, the author, he likes to insert Muhammad Ali. Like that's not the only character like that in Baki. There's a
Yeah.
lot of fighters who are like one letter off the real fighter in
Is he
Baki's
called
history.
Muhammad Ali? And then
It's
I didn't
tech.
catch that.
They don't really pronounce it that way, but
Oh,
it's if you looked up the
oh,
spelling, it's
ALAI. I
ALAI.
did see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But there are a bunch of fighters like this in Baki.
yeah.
But I will say he really seems to show a lot of respect for Muhammad Ali. Probably the only gold medal athlete in this show to ever get any respect.
Yeah.
So it turns out, after we get a bit of a history of Muhammad Ali, not too much Baki related. It honestly felt like I was watching an animated 30 for 30 at some points. But then we get to the fun part. So Muhammad Ali flew to Japan to fight Antonio Igari. Okay, editor Steve here, because this gets confusing. I was saying that a lot of fighters in Baki are just real fighters with their names slightly changed. So it turns out that Kanji Igari is actually a play on a famous wrestler, Antonio Inoki. They both also have the real name and Kanji, but go by the fighting name Antonio. So this guy that Muhammad Ali fought ages ago is the guy that Sikorsky peed on in episode 3. Anyway, just some fun continuity I found, just double checking things. and he was really stressed out for this fight. So he started running at night with 5 NFL linesmen from the looks of it.
Wait,
Um,
wasn't there? Didn't he say boxers? He had also challenged
yes,
one of them
those,
would go on to be a champion. I
yes.
thought they were all boxers. I didn't hear that.
Sorry, they are. I just was more joking that they were
Oh, okay.
very like
Buff.
buff. Yes, not as lean as Muhammad Ali
No.
was. They are all boxers, yes, and one of them will go on to be a world
Do
champion.
we know who it is?
Yeah, who knows? Now here's the interesting thing. So as they're running, uh, one of the one of the fighters disappears, and of course everybody just ignores that and keeps running in the Tokyo night until there's none left but Muhammad Ali, and we find out that this was probably the doing of Yujiro Hanma. We didn't ever see how that. What do you think even happened there?
Well, I think that so this mystery man, I don't know who he is. That's not Yujiro Hanma, is
That's
it?
Yujiro Hanma.
Oh, it is.
That's Baki's.
Okay.
He
Is
looks
he
a
the
bit different.
devil? Because I'm assuming Muhammad Ali is God.
If that's, I think that's probably the best.
So he's a
Yeah,
bad guy then.
Yujiro is a bad guy, except when it comes to civil rights.
But he befriended him. I would say he befriended him.
The thing is, I would say that Yujiro doesn't, at least in this scene, he doesn't operate on an axis of good or evil. You know, like he's not trying to be evil. He's just trying to
No,
be strong.
the strongest man in the world.
Tell me, what are your dreams?
I dream of strength.
The strength to do what?
To be the strongest living man in the entire world.
Yes, he's stronger than armies.
So I would assume he took out those other guys. Why? I don't know. Like he could have just come around and said what he was gonna say. Because it like anything that he said to him, he could have said with those other guys there.
So he shows up, and we get a little bit of a fight between Muhammad Ali and Yujiro.
Punch him.
I think Muhammad Ali was scared. This guy had just beaten up 4 of his best friends, or kidnapped them, or killed them, for all we know. And of course, it does nothing because Yujiro Hanma is is the strongest fighter
On
in
his
the
way
world.
to be the. Is he? Have we confirmed that he's the strongest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take your words.
Um, and it makes Muhammad Ali unleash his secret power of his new martial art he made.
I'll be damned. The random dude off the street I met in Japan somehow managed to see it, and he wasn't even a boxer.
Now, so there's 2 points I want to comment on here. One, I thought the art in this scene was ridiculous. Yujiro was glowing. Muhammad Ali had blue light shooting out of the ground underneath him. Did you notice that, or
Well, I actually thought
Yujiro? It's an
Yujiro
O.
was go. I didn't know who he was at first, but I thought he was kind of ghost-like, and that kind of green, like fog part was trying to make him look like
Supernatural.
supernatural. And then I thought, well, and then when they were fighting, I did notice that with Muhammad Ali, and I thought that was his was more powerful and bright and blue and yellow.
Yeah, it was blue and like a ghostly white.
Okay.
But that's the interesting thing about Baki. So there are a lot of animes out there where there's these power systems and people glow and they have energy.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, for
Okay.
example. But Baki doesn't have any of that, and I don't even know if the manga even has any of this stuff.
So that's new?
Let me answer that question. So I confirmed in the manga, Yujiro's ghostly aura is from the original. The blue lights shooting out from under Muhammad Ali is new. They just added it in, I think, to make the shots more. It's sort of like a trick, right? Like you spend a lot of time animating a character,
Yeah.
but if instead you have him stand still and you put a glowing effect around him, it's a lot cheaper.
Oh, okay.
So I think that they have a tendency to do that.
Okay.
But the other thing I wanted to talk about was sort of the thrust of Muhammad Ali's character and Muhammad Ali Jr. too. The idea of turning boxing into a martial art.
I actually, when he was talking about that Muhammad Ali had his own way of boxing, that he had his own way of boxing that could be a martial art. I thought that was interesting, like an interesting theory. I don't know if I'm assuming it's
No.
not true, but I was by like that he never put put his fists up. I was trying to think, did
It's one of those
he
things
not
that you
do
can
that?
say and you're like,
Yeah.
that can't be true, but I can't remember it happening.
The modern form of the sport known as boxing was born in England way back in 1814. But in all that time, I was the first fighter ever to lower my guard as a tactic. I never raised it.
Well, it's also just like, what makes boxing not a martial art in the first place? Like, why is traditional box? Is it because there's too many rules? Because earlier in the season, I was just listening to the judo episode, and they said that, oh, that's not judo if you land on your back. Like,
Well, martial arts is full body contact. Boxing is only head and torso. You can't hit below the belt, right?
that is true. That is
Yeah.
true. So Muhammad Ali's great invention was the idea that he could punch people below the belt. By the way, one last episode, Muhammad Ali Jr. said, "This isn't boxing, not even close." This is what he's referring to: is the fact that he's turned boxing into a martial art.
In the last episode, was he a child as well?
No, no, he's like,
That's why I was confused, I think, to see
I,
him as a child.
I don't know his exact age. I assume he's probably like 18, 21, somewhere around that age.
Okay.
Like he's like a cocky young adult type of
And is he
character.
buff like his dad
He
now?
look he looks like Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
So at first, last episode, I was complaining about why didn't they use Layla Ali and all this stuff.
Yeah. I heard
But
that.
what I've realized is they didn't want to make a child for Muhammad Ali. He basically wanted to draw Muhammad Ali. It's like Muhammad Ali Jr. just looks like Muhammad Ali, and I think he acts like how he thinks a young Muhammad Ali would act like. Yes, so he has a new martial arts thing. They spar a little bit more. Muhammad Ali gets a few little grazing blows at him.
Yeah.
I knew you had it in you. That's what I'm talking about, champ. That's not boxing anymore. It's your own martial art. You should name it after yourself. The Art of Ali.
And then Yujiro.
Really no impact.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Then Yujiro throws him in the air. Mamagli goes, oh. Yujiro puts him down.
Catches him before he could injure himself.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you think how can he be the devil? He's a good guy.
Well, and especially because the whole reason he showed up is to tell Muhammad Ali that he thinks that he's like the greatest guy around.
The
because,
next martial art.
yeah. No, that wasn't even it. It was because of him being a draft dodger and his standing up for
For civil
impoverished
rights.
African Americans
Yeah.
and the
And
Viet Cong.
yeah.
You fought the status quo for the sake of impoverished African Americans. You fought your own government for the sake of the battered Viet Cong. Those 3.5 years are the reason why I stand in reverence.
What did you think about all that commentary?
Well, the only thing that came to mind is I thought the reason that he didn't want to get conscripted is because he was thinking he was fighting for the black people not to go,
Mhm.
African Americans not to go. I don't think like
The Viet Cong?
that was kind of secondary, I think, in his civil rights action.
Yeah. We'll have to do a check on that.
Yeah.
Editor Steve.
Or Steve.
Editor Steve
Get on
can
that.
spend an hour researching Muhammad Ali. So I looked into it, and by that I mean I read a Slate article. I think that is a correct assessment. Muhammad Ali was much more focused on the civil rights in America than whatever was going on in Vietnam. He has a famous quote, "I've got no quarrel with the Viet Cong," basically implying, why do I have to go to Vietnam? There's problems over here. Anyway.
It's good about these shows. Like we have gone back and forth, kind of looking in to see if there's the references are real or not, and they often are.
That's what killed me redoing this show is they were real enough of the time that I believed they were always real. Like I was when on that spec episode about Jack Lee Biondi, like the man who was actually 100, and then
Yeah.
I thought that was a real story, and so I looked it up later, and I was like, oh, this is absolutely ridiculous.
I didn't think that was real. But we looked up Mr. Oliva, you were saying.
Yeah.
And that song that was grinding. Remember, it was a version of a real song.
Yeah, the Mavi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, on the topic of grinding, the idea that your jaw strength matches to how strong you are. That was way back in episode 7. That was real. That was a study that came out.
Okay.
Anyway, lots of interesting facts here. But So after Yujiro tells Muhammad Ali about how great he is and all that, Muhammad Ali is a bit dejected. He feels bad because he knows that he's not on the same level as Yujiro. And they start walking and blah, blah, blah. Basically, Muhammad Ali ends the scene by saying,
Please, I want you to meet my son.
were you surprised at
That
that?
was shocked. I was thinking, wow, this guy's just pretty much said that everything you've done in your life is like super amazing. You're the next big thing in martial arts.
Yeah.
You got to meet my son. And I wasn't impressed with the son from the last episode. Like, it didn't seem like he was like anything near
Oh,
to his father.
he beat up Dave.
It's Dave, I mean.
Yeah, I know. So they have a little scene where Muhammad Ali Jr. is in the room.
This is my boy. Or honestly, I should call him my dream.
He's wearing a tuxedo and he's also about probably 1 foot tall. Like
Was he
he's
playing with a dinosaur?
so that's the little toy he gave Koz away last episode. So it was his childhood toy
Okay.
that he gave to an adult woman. Like, when you get stressed, play with my baby toy. But yeah, he's being a little kid and punching stuff.
Yeah.
And we learned that Muhammad Ali, so a bit more context on his martial art. He turned boxing into a martial art. Basically, the Muhammad Ali style is you hop around, and if somebody tries to punch you,
Float
you go
like a
back.
butterfly, sting like a bee.
Exactly. It's that as a martial art. But because Muhammad Ali was a draft dodger and went to jail for 3 years, he was not able to perfect the craft. And then he got older and he couldn't move fast enough to be that same fighter, which I feel like is probably also true. That
I don't think he
coming
went
out
to
of
jail
jail,
for
he
3 years.
well, he might have just been. That might be true, but I think also he might have been barred from professional
Yes,
boxing.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So because of that, by the time he came back, he had to adjust his fighting
Correct.
style, and he wasn't as fast.
Right.
So Muhammad Ali's new goal is he can train his son to learn this style.
Which, when you see the son, you just think, no. Like, Muhammad Ali comes along once in a lifetime. This little roly-poly boy is not going to be
He
the
look
next world martial artist.
he looks like a goober, and I don't know why he's dressed so fancy, but
Muhammad Ali never dressed like that.
yeah, he's just dressing his son
In a
up to
tuxedo.
the
Maybe because he's rich.
the ogre's coming over. You must put on all this. So Muhammad Ali Jr.'s son, or sorry, just Muhammad Ali Jr. starts wailing on Yujiro. It's great. Getting in little punches. Very good form for a 3-year-old, which is what I assume he's supposed to be.
Oh, I think he's supposed to be like 8. 7
8?
or
Do
8.
you think it's supposed to be 8?
That's well, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8.
I know. Somewhere between the ages of 8 and 3. You know what? I'll have Lindsay fact check that. She's good
Okay.
with children's ages.
After looking at Mr. Roly Poly, I would say he's probably 5 or 6, but he acts like a 3-year-old.
5 is closer to 3 than 8. But somewhere in that age range, Muhammad Ali is doing these little cute kid punches onto Yujiro, and then Yujiro pulls back his middle finger and flicks him
In the forehead.
in the forehead across the room. And I thought that was enough. And then he's like bleeding out of the forehead. Like,
You know what I loved was the delay of the flick. Because anybody that deals with those kind of kids that are just kind of
Yeah.
punching or biting you, right? Like it was just like drawn back, and then the finger was released, and then didn't he kind of go slow-mo back?
oh
to
yeah,
that? And then he started crying.
yeah. And then I forget what Muhammad Ali said after that. It
He
was,
wasn't like shocked by it or anything.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he would have went out of my house. You
oh
can't
yeah, no.
treat my
He
son
walked
like
up to his kid and said, "That was a great fight, kid."
That was a good fight, son.
Yeah, you got some good punches or something.
This kid's gonna be special. And Yujiro sort of
Did you
forced
believe that?
what? That this kid's gonna be special? I've watched the show. I
Oh.
know he's gonna be special.
Oh, okay.
And Yujiro sort of foreshadows this. He says that I've fathered children all over the place, and one day you're gonna fight
Bravo.
them. It's also an interesting line because we only know canonically of 2 children that he has, just Baki and Jack.
Okay.
So theoretically, one day they might just pull out another Baki brother.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Foreshadowing.
So that's sort of the end of the Muhammad Ali storyline for the episode. But there's a fun other storyline this episode where Baki goes to a cabin in the
I'm
woods.
so happy I got to see Baki in my episode.
A rare treat.
But he wasn't doing well, though.
No, how did you describe how he's doing?
Well, he's still very muscular, but the big guy, Hondo,
I don't. I did.
he did. They did
That
say
big
his
guy is in like that was when he was introduced, and I've forgotten his name. Ondo, maybe.
Hondo. Yeah.
Sure.
Reichi Ando, a fierce warrior who could kill a bear with nothing but his own 2 hands. He lives like a hermit in a small cabin in the depths of the Hida Mountains. He's known Baki since he was a child.
So there was a big cabin in a cave, and they went to see him and Cosway, and the guy and Hondo.
Sure.
What did you say?
No, I think I just said Ondo.
Okay, the big guy
Yeah.
asked him to take off his shirt. So we already knew that from the previous episode that he had been poisoned.
Hmm.
So, and he was weak, but the doctors couldn't do anything for him. He was saying this episode, but he looked okay. He just looked emaciated,
Yeah,
but still
still-
very
He
muscular.
still looks great. I don't know. Like you can see his ribs, but otherwise he is ripped. He is
But
shredded.
What did the big guy say? Why did you wait so long?
But
What
the-
does that mean?
But the tone he said it into. Why? Why, Baki, did you wait so long?
Does that mean that he waited too long and the poison has gone too far? Or why did you wait so long to come back to like away from high school and all of
Like he was
life?
lonely in the woods.
Like that he wasn't serving his purpose, and by coming back there where all the skeletons were, presumably of
Apes.
oh I didn't catch that part.
Um,
What word?
we'll get to that in a second. I think what he meant is, why did you waste your time with modern medicine? If he had come to this guy in the woods sooner, he could have saved him.
Okay,
But
that makes
unfortunately, the
sense.
medicine is not really doing anything. We do get some really nice scenes of Baki fishing, having dinner, just
Sleeping with Cos.
yeah,
Cosway.
Kozue. It's a nice little slice of life for them.
Yeah.
Baki, of course, does look like the crypt keeper in all of these shots. But yeah, so after going to the cabin, he goes to what is it? A cave
Yeah.
with a bunch of skeletons in it.
Yeah.
I'll play a clip here because the narrator's description of what's going on is the best scene part of the whole episode.
Yasha Zaru Jr., a member of the race of mysterious apes that inhabited the Hida Mountains in ancient times. Yasha's parents were slaughtered by Yujiro Hanma. Baki was enraged and swore to avenge their deaths. After that, a bond developed between them.
Basically, that Yeti that everybody's been talking about from the end credits is there, and we find out that is Yasha Jr., and a mythical great ape from ancient Japan that used to live here. Yujiro Hanma killed all of the other apes, and that's why there's so many skeletons
So those
in
were
this
ape
cave.
skeletons. Okay. They
And-
did look rounder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, this ape fought in the Maxima tournament.
And he's a friend of Baki.
And he's a friend of
He
Baki.
hugged Baki. I didn't really understand that, but
I just love that they included that. Like, they spent about 30 seconds just explaining what the heck's going on, and we'll never see that ape again. He's gone.
oh,
Like, maybe in the next season to come out, he might come back, but
so what do you think the purpose of that was then?
I don't think there was one. Well,
Just to justify him being in the final credits?
yeah, I don't know. If you had watched the original Baki, which I still contend is a big ask for people, that when the show is not on the platform and it aired 20 years ago,
Right.
then maybe you would remember Yasha and you'd go, "Oh, I love this guy."
Oh, so it's
It's
a
an
throwback,
homage.
an homage for people who really follow Baki.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
And he was comforting to Baki during Baki's difficult time after being poisoned.
So, and he needs some comfort. Well, to provide some more comfort for him, we find that Retsu has shown up at the cabin in the woods, and he's so happy to see Baki, and Baki goes in for the big hug.
They come back after all the fishing and all this the hug with the Yeti.
Mhm, mhm.
And then come back, and I thought it was quite ominous that
Mm.
the Hondo, Hondo.
Hondo, Hondo.
And this other smaller figure, who I didn't know who it was standing there. Like I thought something was like the happiness was going to end and that something
Well, and you were right.
was going to happen.
So Baki goes in for the hug or handshake, I don't remember, and Retsu just punches him right in the chest.
I'm really glad you're here, man.
Right.
Knocks him out.
That was shocking.
Kozue can't do anything.
Why'd you do that?
That's her the entire episode. Oh my god. But
Sweet.
so the episode ends. Can you just describe how the episode ends? This is one of my favorite endings in Baki.
Well, so he's punched him,
Yeah.
and then you look up to the sky, and there's a helicopter that comes in, and it's in Japanese.
Chinese.
Yeah, and it says Republic. Yeah, I guess it'd be in Chinese. Republic of China translated, and so Retsu is
Chinese.
kidnapping
Yeah.
Baki, and does Kosue get to go? She was like.
We'll find
Again.
we'll find out. It does
But
seem
that's
like,
how it ended. It was suspenseful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say it's interesting because Ando seemed on board with this plan. Like it seemed like he had called Retsu.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So what do you think
you know. What do you think's going on?
I think they're gonna fix him and make him better and train him to be. I feel like he's not reaching in anything I've seen, he's not reaching his potential. He's kind of like a teenager and going to school and has a girlfriend. But
Mhm.
I think they're going to take all those influences away and just have him focus.
I'm just gonna take those away.
I don't think she's going with them.
But yeah. Baki's whole arc this season was just end up goes away and then it's get her out of here.
He's a teenager. He can get another girlfriend down the road.
In China. Yeah, so the People's Republic of China has flown a helicopter into Japan, most likely violating sovereign
It
airspace.
was an army, like
Oh yeah, this
camouflage
it's like
helicopter.
the Chinese equivalent of like an Apache like helicopter. But yeah, so that's how the episode ends. Then we go into the classic theme song. A thrilling conclusion to the episode. But here's the thing:
Was suspenseful.
it might be a bit subtle, but I would say that this episode is showing the shift in the show. So I was saying before the next arc's going to take 5 of our characters from this season and really focus on them. So can you guess who those characters are?
Okay, Muhammad Ali Jr.
Correct.
This is much different than boxing.
Baki,
Yep.
I don't like getting wet.
Retsu,
Correct.
Causeway.
No, and I don't count those.
Oh, Aniyama.
No. Yujiro is going to be a much bigger part next season.
I don't, I don't know. I don't know like what is there. There's who's Baki's dad,
Yujiro.
and then who did you say is going to
Oh,
be?
I think you're getting Hanma and Hanayama mixed up.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Yujiro Hanma, Baki Hanma, Jack Hanma,
Okay.
and then there's Hanayama, who's a different guy.
So how would I know who the 2 other people are? Because I've only seen this episode.
Well, you've already said 4, so there's only one
Okay.
more. Muhammad Ali Jr., Baki, Retsu, and Yujiro.
Forget celibacy. If you want to get stronger, do it.
And those are the 4.
Oh,
Um,
and who's the 5th?
Mr. Oliver.
Oh, your favorite.
I tossed him around like a rag doll. Are you blind or something? Come on.
He's coming back next season, and then season 3 is a spotlight on him. So we're not getting rid of Mr. Oliver.
I find him not exciting.
Maybe you just don't like jazz. So that's a little spoiler talk for this. So, Mom, you know the question I'm going to ask you. Now that you've watched this episode of Boggy, do you think the Boggy is a good show?
Yes, I think it's. I do. Every time I did start watching some of the episodes after I had listened to them, with the 5 original death row inmates.
Death row inmates. Yeah.
I love those storylines. I found this one suspenseful. Because I like Muhammad Ali, I found it interesting that this this animated feature is even talking about him
Yeah.
and kind of introducing him maybe to different
Well, it's also fun to see him like from a Japanese perspective, like it's like
yeah
I feel like they had much more of a view of like Muhammad Ali is standing up against his whole country of America. Like
yeah
anyway, yeah,
he did.
great guy.
Yeah.
I love Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Robert.
that's more or less it. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up or?
No, it was really fun, and I think you're doing a great job.
You're there first. Make sure to put that in the reviews. So this is the penultimate episode of the season. Next episode, I'm going to try and get a few people together, and we'll have sort of a panel award show,
That'll
which I
be
think will be
fun.
a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I had some great suggestions for awards in the Discord, so I'm going to be trying to put those up.
How many people are in your Discord?
Oh, hundreds. I think we might be in 2 digits.
Great.
Yeah. And they're all definitely not guests who've been on the show. I'm going to have the award nominations up in the Discord by the time this episode's posted. So feel free to go on there and vote. If you're my mom and don't use Discord, feel free to Facebook me and I will send you
I
a
don't
link.
Facebook. I'm not that old.
Oh my gosh. Facebook's underrated.
No one uses Facebook. Not even my age group now.
And then after the season finale, I'm going to be taking 1 month off and then coming back at
You
you for
deserve it.
season 2. Thank you. Glad. Stop laughing.
No, you do deserve
right.
it. You've been working very hard.
That's all the Baki we've got to talkie. See y'all next week.
Bye.
生ぬるい夢よりも熱すぎる Song Friday